Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Random Rant. It has been a moment since I recorded one of these, but I kind of wanted to talk about something very interesting. So we are in the second month of 2021. You know, this year already seems to be flying by. It was just January and whatnot, but we're already in February, so I figured this is more of a good time to talk about it than, later. So, recapping 2020 and whatnot, and 2021, considering that the events that happened in there are still happening now, I figured this would be a really good video to talk about a very important topic that a lot of people, may not necessarily want to talk about, which is the elephant in the room. And it's how you cope with what's happening. Now, a lot of people are literally just at a state where they feel hopeless and whatnot, and I can understand why, because, like, if you've had a business and you lost your business, or if you're unemployed right now and whatnot, 2020, like, I'm not gonna say that, because the problem doesn't, treat me the same, then it doesn't exist or whatnot. That's far be it from what I am, know to do. Like, I know a thing or two about suffering, so I don't ever try and, say that. I will say, personally, though, that 2020 wasn't really, I don't know, like, it didn't feel, like, so crazy to me, because all of the things that happen in 2020 happen all the time. They just don't usually happen in the countries that people, I guess, feel safe the most, like in America, UK, and whatnot. It doesn't happen nearly as much there, but it happens all the time around the world. And so people have gotten in their minds that, well, that just happens here. It will never happen, well, that just happens there, it will never happen here. And I really don't think like that, because I'm like, when you say that it won't happen here, when it does, it's gonna hit hard. It really is, and you really see that it hit hard. Like, I pretty much cope with this mainly because I don't look to man, I look to the Lord. And I also cope with this because I've learned that, I'm not entitled to good times. Like, even before COVID, I was struggling, I have been looking for work for pretty much, I think, going on 2 years now? 2 years? Yeah, going on 2 years now. I've been looking for work for over 2 years now. Like, in 2020, I can't necessarily say that I looked as hard, because it was really, really, really hard to find work, because everything was shut down anyway. I figured this would be my chance, because right now, I actually must. I literally must. I can't not work from home. Like, I'm unemployed, but I'm saying, like, if I am looking for work, in order for me to find work, I must have a job where I work from home, because of the responsibilities that I need to tend to. But I was unable to find it even before COVID, and, I was pretty much just having trouble for a very long time. So when COVID happened, I mean, it wasn't really anything new. It was just more being unemployed, more, doing what I usually do. And that's not necessarily something that's crazy. I apologize if you heard my phone. Good night. Day of the interruptions. But the fact of the matter is, when I see this stuff happening and whatnot, like, it's just not really that foreign to me, because I don't really just limit my life and my world only to my country and whatnot. Like, other stuff matters that's happening other places, you know what I mean? I'm not by any means, like saying, oh, no borders or something like that. I'm not trying to make this some kind of political video. I'm just saying, in general, that, like, other people's lives around the world matter as well, and we should keep up with what's happening to them, Because a good look at that is to say, well, let's make sure that if something crazy is happening over there, that doesn't happen here. And I feel like we failed in that regard, because that's why we're so, that's why we were so caught off guard when this happened, because we're like, well, wait, this is America, like, wait, this is, a really modern country. This can't happen here. And yes, it can, as 2020 and 2021 continue to prove to us that yes, it absolutely can. And so, for me personally, I deal with this in a myriad of ways. For one, like I mentioned, my main thing is, I trust in the Lord, and I just don't feel entitled. Like, I've had a really, really, I'm not trying to have a pity party over here, trust me. I've had a really rough life. I had a really bad childhood, really bad high school year, in school in general, like, pretty bad times, you know what I mean? So, I learned at a young age that life just really doesn't give two dimes, like how I feel and whatnot, and even if I just get into, like, this really dark depression or whatnot, like, it's really just not gonna help anything. And listen, I'm not trying to, like, attack you, like, if you're feeling depressed and whatnot, and saying, oh, suck it up or something. Like, listen, I know how that feels. Like I've been in a depression before, a really deep one, but like again, I just really just learned that like really just sitting in this bed and just doing nothing isn't going to make the problem go away. It's not going to do anything for me, and so I need to do something. And that's why even though I'm unemployed, I still do get out of my house and I make sure that I do something. I go to an office, get some stuff done, record some YouTube videos. Like it helps. It helps you like just work on when you're working on some kind of task instead of just focusing on like your depression and your problems. It really helps. So that's another way that I cope with it. And like we have a lot of stuff that where people are concerned about. Like we have like the vaccines coming out and whatnot, and all kinds of things, and like people feel like there could be a civil war. Like there's a lot that people have to be concerned with, and I do understand that and whatnot. And so like I just want to like say for the record that like everyone deals with this differently, but I do want to encourage you like don't get caught up in like like a lot of stuff that's happening. And I know that that's really tough. That's really tough for a lot of people, like to just say, well, you're not entitled to it, and so like kind of use it in that way. And that's really hard because I'm like, well, what do you mean? Look at my life. Look at this. Like, and I know, because trust me, I know. Like I felt like that when I was younger as well. Like like, well, why is this happening to me and whatnot. But again, like I mean, you can complain, I suppose, but there's only so much that complaining is really gonna accomplish for you. You know what I mean? Like there's only so much to that. Just complaining about your problem and just sitting in your bed and just being depressed and not wanting to move. There's only so much that's going to do. I spent a year like that. After my high school graduation, I tried to go to the military and I was refused. And I refused to go to college and whatnot, and I still do. And so, like, when I was refused that, like, I was really hit. And I was looking for work and looking for work and looking for work. Yeah, it's been a while, and just getting refused at every turn. And I would just lay in my bed, and I knew that I needed to get up and to just start applying to some jobs, and it was just so depressing. And I do remember that point, but ever since then I haven't really been depressed. But I know what that feels like. I spent like a year like that pretty much before I like got it off, excuse me, got over it. And I'm not trying to just make it seem like this is just something that you just get over it and whatnot, and just it's whatever, because again, everyone deals with this differently. Everyone's differently. So I just want to say again for the record that just don't see life as like this lens where it's like a whole bunch of it's fair and whatnot, and like, well, this is completely unfair. Well, yes, because life is unfair. Like there's plenty of instances where someone was born with something they didn't ask for. Like, I mean, just think about how an orphan feels, like, thank the Lord that I was, given a mother that honestly cares about me and, wants my well-being. I know plenty of kids that had a mother and the mother just didn't care. Like, she would let them do whatever they want to do, and when it landed them in jail, now they resent their mom, Even though the mom didn't necessarily, hate the kid or anything, she just didn't really care enough to try and look out for them, like to say, hey, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And now that they're, in a really bad position, they're like, well, they resent their parents, so, I just thank the Lord for what I do have, because it could always be worse. Like, and I know that sounds really bad, because like, oh, that's pessimistic. Well, it's just the truth. It could be a lot worse. Like, we're still in America, like, at least where I'm recording this, or maybe if you're usually viewing this, you have technology, so I assume that, like, you've got access to the internet in some way. Like, just we have something, you know what I mean? Like, we could always just be happy for what we do have and whatnot, because the fact of the matter is we do have a lot to be thankful for, even in this kind of thing. Like, at least we have a government that's kind of trying to give us some help, albeit it could be better in relation to what's happening and whatnot. But we at least have a government that's trying, like plenty of governments. Like I was reading about like this missionary in the Philippines and whatnot, and if you just have problems there, you're screwed. Like the government can't really do much for you. Like, I mean, they're. I even realized that, believe it or not, like they're like 911, even though I don't think it's 911, but their emergency hotline can put you on hold or say that it's unavailable. Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine that? Well, you don't have to if you survive 2020. You know darn well that if you could call for cops and cops wouldn't come because of certain cities that they were in, but that's a whole nother topic. But like, literally just in the Philippines, and it's like you need help. You know, you're trying to help someone and say, hey, well, this person's dying. It's just like, well, unavailable. You know, like, we have a lot to be thankful for. So that's what I usually try and do in order to help myself, like, you know, stay on track, because it's very easy to just get discouraged and whatnot. And so I'm not gonna let this circumstance get to me. You know, I've survived worse. My childhood. Listen, let me just say, like, probably 17. So yeah, 17 years, 18 years. 18 years of absolute garbage. Compare it to like a year of 2020. Listen, I've survived worse. So at least as far as I'm concerned, my trials and tribulations have just built up my armor, so to speak. So my hide is set, and it's not easily broken right now. So I just wanted to say that because I want you guys to be encouraged. I want you guys to say, hey, you know, 2020 was a pretty rough year, but maybe 2021 may or may not be worse. I personally feel like it, you know, may not really, may be more of the same. But I'm not going to let it get to me. That's the difference. So, you know, get some goals, work on some goals, focus on that instead of the problems, and trust me, you'll feel a lot differently when you're just taking time to focus on goals instead of problems. So, that's my advice to you. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you want to see in the future in the comments below. Feel free to check out my amino, linked in the comments, as well as my BitChute, linked in the About Me page of my channel. And I will see you all next time. Take care. Stay safe, and God bless.